Ready to lead like you've been doing it for years? The truth is, leadership is hard, but waiting to feel ready is harder. This is the Instant Leader podcast with Andy Lee, bringing you real stories and proven principles to lead with more confidence today. Today on the Instant Leader podcast, I'm catching up with Taylor Frost. She's gone from reporting TV news to building a business that helps companies oops-proof their operations. We talk about her wild career shift, surviving curveballs, and what real leadership looks like when you're making it up as you go. So let's jump in. Taylor, welcome to the Instant Leader podcast show.
Well, thanks for having me, Andy. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yeah, I've got a lot to cover, and I know we've worked together on a project before, or actually more than one, a couple of
Yeah,
projects.
quite a few, actually.
So let's see if that pops up in our conversation. You've had a really unique journey. You've gone from TV news to building a business where you help companies scale. And let me get this right. Is it oops proof or ops proof their operations?
So the business name is Opsi, and our goal is to help you oops-proof your business with smart operations.
I got
Huh?
it. I like
Huh?
that. I
Clever,
like
right?
that. I like that. So I'd love to start there. Like, can you just walk us through, Taylor, that transition from TV news to OPSI? What pulled you into the work that you're doing now?
Well, this has been happening over a few years now. So TV news is what I went to school to do, went to college to do. It's honestly what I love. I watch the news all day long, every day. And when I thought about a career field, it just seemed like a very natural progression. So I went ahead and got my first job when I was 21. I was fresh out of college, started in TV news with a local station in the middle of Kentucky in the United States, which is big into coal country. So my stories, my stories out there were very wild, right? It was like chasing miners around at Walmart, trying to get a statement about the local coal mine shutting down the road. My stories were not necessarily what you see on like Good Morning America or the Today Show out there, but that was always the dream to make it to some sort of like big news network. But as I went down that path of chasing my news dream, I quickly learned and realized that news is still the TV industry. And even though we're reporting and like telling stories, and um, it's it's a very much a business sort of job. It's still TV, and so those what you hear about like Hollywood and different things like that still have those layers in the television news industry, and
Okay.
I just didn't really like that. There wasn't great like benefits. I made pennies on the hour, and the safety really wasn't great. I found myself in very like dangerous situations every day of the week, and
Really?
I was like, yeah, as a young female, I was like, I don't,
Yeah. Doesn't
this
sound
isn't
ideal.
really, no. My parents would actually follow me around, and they would just show up on the scene sometimes if they knew I was in a really dangerous
Just
place.
walking behind you while you're like reporting live.
I would just see like a van pull up, and it was my parents, because I was still young. And so I was basically just selfieing on the side of a road and connected to the news station. I was like live at, 4, 5,
So
6,
there was
9.
no crew with you?
Oh no. No, Andy. I'm by myself, just
Wow.
selfieing on this, and it's connected. Nowadays they have like apps. And when I reported, I had to carry around like a lot of equipment in a wagon to go live. But now you can just go live on your phone. You connect to the news station's network,
Wow.
and you're suddenly live on TV. And
That's funny.
yeah,
So you're painting this, it's not so glamorous when you're on the inside because it can look very glamorous on the outside. You're on TV. You're
right.
reporting the news. It's important stuff.
Right. You would think it's so important. I felt like it was important. But it turns out high people up that are, way up high don't really care about they call them multimedia journalists, who,
Okay.
fresh out of college. And honestly, like I'm glad I went through that. I'm glad because it made me one, value a dollar. It two, taught me to work really hard. And three, now I can appreciate, how everyone most people have to really work hard to get where they're at now. So it gave me some good stories for sure. But I wouldn't want to go back and do it again.
Got it. So you went in with that focus. You wanted to try it out, saw some of the inner workings you didn't like, and
Hmm.
then what? And then you kind of moved into where?
Well, then the pandemic happened.
Okay.
Pandemic happened, and at that point, it was a really natural break in my career. My contract was coming to an end, and so I went and I actually started working for a local church ministry doing social media. And this job taught me so much about what is a brand. How do you like promote one piece of content on multiple platforms? How do I obviously know how to like cut and edit video because I cut and edit my own video every day in news. But this taught me how to, take a hour long sermon, if you will, cut it down into different types of content for different platforms into 15 seconds or 30 seconds or, even more longer form, like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I took what I learned at this church job and I was there for a little bit. And after that, I was like, people started coming to me actually. And they were like, "Can you do this for me on the side?" And I was like, "Sure. Why not?" And I looked up one day and I had multiple clients coming to me and I had basically a business that it just had fallen to my lap. And I had stumbled into the social media business where I was like, I'm going to actually need to hire people so that I can like continue to work and fulfill on what I've agreed to for these random clients.
Yeah.
So that was my first taste of like contract jobs, but also, it was the start of my first company, Taylor Frost Social. And so we were a social media business helping really anyone anyone who wanted social media help. 2020, 2021. What a fun time in the internet. So that's where I got my start. And then Andy, where you and I met was I think around 2021, maybe. Yeah, it was probably 2021 actually. One of those clients that came to me ended up employing me full time, and I said yes. And that's where you and I started working together. And my job evolved from just doing social media management to taking on, hey, can you help train so and so over here? Hey, can you organize this? Hey, can you do this? And before I knew it, I had a director of operations role. And that's really where my mind kind of was blown of like, I'm capable of doing so many more things than I ever ever knew, but I was just learning on the fly, pretending every day, faking it till I made it. And, but every day was a learning lesson.
Yeah, that's great, Taylor. What a journey that has been, and just taking those opportunities that have just kind of come alongside you. And it started with you doing the work for the church. At what point did you feel? I don't know if you ever did, like think, okay, you're now a leader. Like, did you see yourself as such? Did you start implementing or even researching how to lead well, influence well? You mentioned growing a team. You mentioned a director of operations, which involves overseeing other people and training other people.
Mhm.
Like, how does that term kind of fit into the career you just described up to that point?
That's a great question. When I think about leadership and I think about how I lead personally, I love involving as many people as I can. And so for me, when either tasks come on or projects come on that seem to me either overwhelming or I just have too much on my plate, my natural inclination is to involve more and more people. And so for me, leadership doesn't mean I have to do it all. For me, leadership means delegating well, but also making sure that I am working with the best people I can, whether that be hiring a team, going out and finding and interviewing them, like whatever that looks like, bringing in people to help me. So with my social media business, for me, it meant I had worked with a lot of talented graphic designers at the church. So suddenly I started like, just giving them these side gigs of, hey, will you design this for me? Or hey, what would it look like for you to give me, 10 different templates that I could quickly change or, move around. That way I can save time over here by actually designing them myself. Um, and so it looked like, just delegating work, being creative, being smart with how I manage my time and bringing other people in. And through the years, I think that's just kind of grown, right? As I've been given more opportunities and titles and pay raises and different things have followed, my natural inclination has just been, who can I bring in? Who can I bring onto this project? Because I've gotten to work with so many great people because of it, and I feel like you've kind of done the same for me, like brought me into different things when you've seen fit, and the journey is so much more fun when one, we can work with people we enjoy but also trust, and two, when we can do it together. It's so much more fun working with your friends, I think.
Yeah, no, that's great, Taylor. How would you describe that as a principle? This idea of delegating and involving other people and giving them opportunity.
Leadership being collaboration. And when you can collaborate and you can collaborate with others well, uh, that's a principle I don't believe we see very often, because so many people that I've come in contact with, it's me, me, me. How can I make my name known? But I
Mm,
found when I can bring other people in and even promote them over myself, and it's not about me. The project is not only done so much better, our results are greater. And it's just a much more enjoyable experience when
yeah,
collaboration's at the forefront.
yeah, yeah, that's great. And to be able to do that well, you kind of need to have a certain level of security about yourself, don't you?
Yeah, that's that I do believe that's the kicker, yeah.
And that's where you have the people who are like, maybe want to hold on really tightly to things and don't want to let go of things. It's because they maybe just tie their worth to it
Mhm,
somehow. So
mhm.
they feel they're less than when they involve other people or they,
And and when you see that happening too, it's tragic, because that I do believe that kind of culture does, uh does poison an organization. And so when you can have a collaborative culture, uh, everyone's going to be, I believe, more encouraged and also more focused and driven on the project at hand, but also what's best for the client or best for the business that you're working with. Um, because if you're focused on what's best for me, then you can go down that rabbit hole. But if you're really focused on collaboration and promoting what's best for the project, then you're thinking of the client at the forefront, and that's really what's most important. That's what I see my job to be.
yeah, no, that's really good. That's really good. In the notes that you sent across, you said that also leadership is guided by, your leadership is guided by integrity and clarity.
Mm, yes.
Unpack that a little bit for me, Taylor. And what does that look like on a day to day basis?
Day to day basis, being a leader, you're sometimes handed some really, tough and difficult situations that you have to navigate. And right now, for me, one of the things that I've been navigating is AI. Right? How do we navigate this new world with AI and still be ethical, still be transparent, still make sure that we are operating with integrity on a daily basis? And so for me, it's sometimes making the hard decision of like, hey, we shouldn't do this, or we shouldn't move forward with this AI this new AI software because we don't know what it's capable of. And it might make our lives easier right now, but moving forward, we don't want to set ourselves up for failure before we know what it's capable of or what data we're actually giving it access to, right? We want to make sure that we are protecting our clients or protecting your clients, right? Because usually it's someone else's like CRM or their client's information that I've been given access to. And so it means not taking the easy way out. And
Mm.
sometimes AI makes I mean, I think we've all seen how easy it is just to type something into ChatGPT, or my new favorite AI is Claude.
Uh-huh.
But how easy it is to type something into Claude and it spit back, a whole web page for you. And so just making sure that, I'm being transparent with how did I get this information? How are we using it? But also making sure that we're protecting everyone involved, whether they know they're involved or not. And that I think that goes right along with clarity, making sure that everyone's clear with what I'm doing, what I'm implementing, what my team's implementing. I want to make sure that everyone's on the same page with that.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, and I guess that takes quite a bit of. It's a brave decision, isn't it? Like to say, okay, we won't take the easy route, so this might not be the easiest solution. Like there's an easier solution that I'm going to forego for the sake of like the potential risk further down the line,
Hmm.
because that might not necessarily be what clients want. I don't know if
Right.
it, they might want the solution today. They want something that works now. They're not necessarily thinking 6 months, 12 months down the line.
It's true. It's sometimes they're not thinking that far, but I feel like that is why usually people bring me in to help them think forward and future focused. And my goal is to oops proof your business. And so if we can look at your operation right now and say, okay, you want to be here. You want to get here in 6 months. Okay, great. Or even longer term thinking, you want to be here in 3 years. These are some of the steps we need to start taking now, but also what are the pitfalls that we could fall into? And so, my goal is to hopefully spot some of those so that we can be proactive and ensure you're not losing money because we know every pitfall, every slowdown usually costs time and money, and I want to see my businesses that I work with make millions. I want them to be uber profitable, and if we can make sure that we are protecting ourselves on the front end against some of these things, it helps so much.
Yeah. You know that they'll still be around in 5 years' time, right? It's that kind of.
Right. Yeah, yeah, because we all know some of these startups, they don't make it. They don't
Yeah,
make it, and I work with everyone from, like, startups to 7 figures, upwards, and some it's so sad, but some of the startups, they don't make it because they're looking for a quicker fix and
yeah,
not something that's gonna take more time to build.
yeah, exactly. Taylor, you have a lot of expertise now in operations. Like you founded your own business in that, like on that topic in that category. Um, but you've also shared that you kind of accidentally, not accidentally, intentionally, like ended up down this path.
Yeah,
Like it
they
wasn't
found me.
studied. They found you. You studied TV. That's what your initial
Mhm.
goal was. Quickly stepped out of that. And you said you used the phrase like fake it till you make it. Like how do you have the confidence to now work with clients who want ops help and you're still learning along the way? Like, how do you balance that kind of feeling? Can I help them? Do I have what it takes to help this business who's this size or whatever in this industry that I've never worked with before? How do you balance that with then saying, yeah, I can do it?
That's a great question, and I think imposter syndrome is something most people do encounter at some point, right? And sometimes something that we're all still trying to work through. I do feel like that weight has been taken from me. When I was first getting started, I felt that a lot. Um, and honestly, I don't have a great way. I probably could. I look back on those early days and I'm like, I could have handled that stress a lot better. But honestly, no one around me was doing what I was doing. I didn't have anyone to look up to. I was just truly figuring it out each day. And so now I look back on those early days and I'm like, if 21-year-old Taylor could figure it out then I know this version of Taylor can figure it out as well. I believe God's given me everything I need to get through each day, but it also I'm also reliant on the fact of, like, I know what a good client is, and I can spot some of these red flags before we ever start working together, and so when I'm having that discovery call with someone, I'm looking to them and interviewing them as much as they're interviewing me, because
Yeah.
I wanna be, particular about who I'm working with, because I know the type of people who I can help and who I also want to work with, and so it takes a good pairing, and, because I know what I'm looking for now, those days of imposter syndrome have kind of been pushed to the side, and I can be more confident in the results that I've already gotten for people too, which is fun to look back and see, some of the clients that I've helped in my early days, seeing them, some of them are actually one of my clients, that was a social media client back in 2020, I believe, one of my first social media clients. They are still with me today, and
Wow.
now I do more, like, consulting with them, and I get to do some, like, fun content work for them too, which is very enjoyable. It's kind of like my creative fun work,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, does that
That's
answer your question?
no, absolutely. And having that client for such a long time is testament to the value that you bring, right? Even way back then when you were just starting out. Yeah, I love that. I think it's so easy to downplay our previous accomplishments. It's very easy to look at the things we got wrong and to look at the tough
Yeah,
learning lessons, but ultimately, like, we're always doing the best we can with what we know at the time. So
mm,
giving ourselves credit for that we made the best choice possible, and just looking back and going, yeah, there were success stories in there. Maybe the mountain doesn't seem as high back then as the ones we're tackling now, but it was still a
right.
mountain at that time, and probably would have felt quite big at that time for us.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember I was given one of the first tasks I was ever given that was like an operational task, was to record training videos for how a new hire could access like our CRM. And I remember thinking, I don't know what Loom is, but I saw someone send a Loom the other day, and I was like, "I'm gonna try Loom." And, it was just a lot of observing and, following what other people were doing. I'm like, "Okay, if they're using Loom, I'm gonna use Loom." And I remember that was, like, the craziest thing, like, I'm gonna make training videos, but it was just, take one step at a time, and I do think observing what others are doing around you was very helpful for me in the beginning too, just to kind of know this is where I should start. Okay, this is safe. I'm not like, going and taking a wild card risk here by using Loom. No, everyone else is using Loom. I'm going to use it. So for me, it was like the only learning lesson was, how do I use Loom?
yeah.
Um, but I also believe, like, this is where the collaboration piece comes in too, and having these people where we can, bounce ideas off of, or talk with too, would have been so helpful. But I'm glad I have it now.
Yeah. Well, luckily for you, you're observing the right tool, right? Because Bloom is the go-to for screen recording.
All of these years, Loom has been a trusty resource for me.
Taylor, so in the environments that you have worked in, and you mentioned, even you now have this great situation where you can kind of choose who to work with, the red flags. What are some of those, like, say, not so good environments or cultures or characteristics of people, like, red flags for you that kind of pop up on your radar?
Something I notice a lot is when a prospective client is talking a lot about maybe themselves, or they are very, very numbers driven, but don't necessarily have any ideas of how to get there. So those two things I'm paying attention to. What are they speaking about? What do they seem really interested in? But also when we talk about like where do you want to go, are they just talking about the numbers, like I want to bring in X amount in revenue, or are they talking about their ideas of how they want to get there? Because I'm really great when I know what the vision is, or when the CEO can like cast the vision. Okay, let's make a plan backwards so that you can get there. But if they don't know where they want to go, it makes it a lot more difficult to actually get things done. I find usually we chase a lot of rabbits,
Mm,
make a lot of different holes. And so I want to make sure that we're being targeted with our approach. And we all know what the goal is. Is the goal, okay, the goal is to make $60,000 through your podcast. Great. Let's go and figure that out. Let's make the steps backwards and make a plan to get there. But if you're like, I just want to make $60,000,
right. Because
I
that's not your role. Your job isn't to come up with the path to get there, to come up with the vision. That's their job.
right. And I'm happy to help you brainstorm. But ultimately at the end of the day, I want to work with a CEO who knows what they want, or what path they want to go down at least to get what they want.
Got it. And then you also mentioned it's when they talk about themselves a lot. So
Yes. Yes. I just find that we all want to be asked questions, right? We want it to be a two-way conversation. We appreciate a good two-way conversation. And so typically I find when someone is doing a lot of the talking, they're not going to necessarily talking about themselves. They're not going to be necessarily open to hearing from me, maybe what I bring to the table. This has just been my experience. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but this is just what I've observed in a few years of doing this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that experience counts. I'm sure you would have built up that intuition over time.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Um, Taylor, you also in the notes you mentioned stewardship.
Mm.
That's not a word that everybody uses. Um, what what does that mean in terms of how you lead?
So I do believe that it is an opportunity. Whenever anyone brings me on, it is a great honor and an opportunity to help their business. And I believe like when I come in and start working with someone in their business or my team does, that your business is suddenly my business and I'm going to handle it as such and I'm going to steward it as such. And it's a big responsibility to me and a great honor when I get to walk alongside of whether it's just for a project or if it's for, a lot longer of a term. I do view your business as my own. And so I'm going to see every decision we make as my decision, just as like it's your decision. And I want to steward those things well. Steward meaning I want to be responsible. I want to make sure that we are taking care of your team, taking care of your clients, taking care of all the things that you have happening well, and we're doing it together. I am your partner, and yeah,
Mm.
I do believe it is maybe a little bit more in common. But Andy, I know you've shared some of the same things. You probably taught me some of these things, honestly.
Don't know about that, but yeah, yeah. No, that it's it makes you stand out so much more when you have that extra level of ownership because it's the other end of the spectrum to uh, a transactional relationship.
Hmm.
It's like here's the contract, I'm being paid for this to do this for you. You're talking about it's a relationship is what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Transactional, but a real relationship where you share ideas, you you really feel involved, like like you passionately want to see the organization that you've kind of agreed to work with succeed. That's yeah, empathy, I guess, is maybe another way of putting it.
That's a great word. I think that's a great word. An empathetic approach to collaboration with a business owner on their business. I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, that's great. Um, there's been a defining moment in your career, like, or pivotal moment, like you mentioned, where decisions were made for you without transparency? Um,
Yes, that
what can you share about that, just to help provide some context? Um,
Yeah, it was a hard moment. I had actually just had a my first child, and coming back I was excited to go back to work and excited to, come back on the team. And when I came back, the the company had actually given away a position that had been promised to me, and that was shocking. It was very shocking, and it was one of those moments that was it was a blindsiding moment, and it was truly a moment that shaped me. It shaped how I lead today. We already talked about like leading with extreme clarity and extreme transparency. And I believe that I err more to that side because of that moment that happened to me. And I talk with, a lot of other female business owners. And unfortunately, I'm not the only one to have experienced something like this when I've gone on a maternity leave. And so it makes me sad to know that these types of things do happen. I don't think they're talked about enough. Um, but ultimately I believe we can do better. And as a business owner now, like I make sure that whenever a team member needs to take a leave, like any big decisions that involve them, they get a say or at least have my ear before I would make a decision
mm,
like that.
mm,
Because I know what
yeah,
it feels like.
yeah. So because of what you went through and how it affected you, you wouldn't want that inflicted on anybody else, right? So it's really become a part of your way of doing business. Um,
Yeah.
I don't. Have you ever thought back and I'm not talking about regret here. Like, I don't believe in like having regrets. I'm like, have you thought back and think, is there something you could have done differently to have seen that coming or even affected the outcome? Do you think?
I haven't thought on back on this moment for a few years now, you know? Um, I've moved forward from it, but I think in the moment, in the years following, honestly, I did think a lot about, like, what could I have done differently? And I honestly don't believe I could have done anything differently. I really believe it was one of those things where the culture of where I was at maybe just didn't align with what my vision for my future is and what I see as my ideal reality. So,
Mm, mm. And but there were no clues. Like the fact that you said you were blindsided meant that you didn't see this coming at all.
no, I didn't see it coming at all. At all. There's very few moments in my life that I've been truly blindsided. I don't know if you watch Survivor. Do you watch Survivor, Andy? They vote people off.
No. Huh?
Okay. They vote people off, you know? Okay. Well, they vote people off every week. My American friends might get this because I do believe it is an American TV show. And they vote people off every week. And sometimes the people know who's being voted off, and sometimes there's an absolute blind side, and it's like crazy when that happens. This was an absolute blind side, like mouth drop open sort of moment. Like I just could not believe it. Um, but I'm thankful. I'm truly thankful that it happened because again, if it wouldn't have happened, I could have been stuck in that same cycle of, trying to move up, trying to get more, trying to like be more in a culture and in a company that wasn't the healthiest for me. And so it really forced me to look inward and be like, is this what I want with a new baby here? Or am I ready to like move on and do something new? And
Yeah.
it thrust me into the second, and I'm very thankful for the next chapter of what came next.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think something like that, it's I'm not saying, like, from what I'm gleaning from it, it's so important in situations like that we don't blame ourselves.
Yeah.
I was thinking that it is my fault or I should have known better or something, because we could just be doing everything the way we want to do it. And um, y- people still do people things, and they're not always good, right? They don't, and that happens occasionally.
Yeah, I think probably younger Taylor did blame herself a little bit, and especially of like, how could you have not seen this? How could you
Mm,
have not have asked those questions? But sometimes it's impossible to prepare for all of the things, and you just have to trust that you are moving in the right direction with the information that you had. And in the moment I had the information that I had didn't propel me to ask any deeper questions,
yeah, yeah,
And as difficult as it is to look back on, I can't move forward with regret. I mean,
yeah,
there's nothing else. And like I just said too, the next chapter is a good one. So
yeah.
I'm happy that that book closed and we kept going.
Yeah, and that is so important that we don't carry those kind of open wounds, because in much as that helped shape your leadership in a good way, your interpretation of that event could have gone the other way, right? And made you feel
Yeah.
less confident. And oh my gosh, I thought I was deserving of this. No, I'm not deserving of this because they didn't give it to me. They didn't even tell me they weren't giving it to me. And then you would have kind of gone down a slippery slope and thought, who am I to start a business? And all those kind of things, kind of
Right.
doubts kind of creep in.
Yeah. Well, I remember I was actually in California shortly after I had decided to step away from that company. I was in California and it was a beautiful sunny day because it's always beautiful and sunny in California. And I was sitting by the pool and I remember like thinking, journaling, praying, being like, I just need to let this go. I can't hold on to this because I'm going to miss out on all these great things that are in front of me. I'm literally looking out at like cliffs of California. I'm going to miss out because I am holding this bitterness. And I don't want to miss out on the good things that are coming up next because I knew there would be good that would come next, even though it was hard in the moment and I didn't feel good. Um, I knew there would be good that would come. And so, yeah, I think just actively making the decision to be like, that was awful, and I couldn't have prevented it, and I'm really upset that it happened, but I'm choosing to let it go. I'm choosing to move forward and continue to just see what happens next because, there's so much there's I'm still young. There's so much life to live. I
Uh,
can't stop here.
yeah, yeah. That's wisdom right there, Taylor. Awesome. Now, speaking of letting go, again in your notes, you said that your biggest leadership challenge right now is learning to let things go. Now,
Yeah.
you're not talking about what we've just talked about because you've clearly let that go already. So what?
Yes.
So
I
what?
let a lot of things go.
So what are you still holding on to that you feel you maybe shouldn't be?
Well, hopefully, when you all listen to this, you don't think I'm a perfectionist because I'm trying to let it go. I love, like I mentioned earlier, extreme ownership, right? When I come into someone's business, I take it on as my own and I want to see you do well just like I want to see myself do well. But when I start scaling and growing, and as our company has actually started to do those things, I'm realizing there are certain tasks that I don't know how to do. Like I can't code. I can read a few lines of code. I can maybe, vibe code a little bit if you really want to get technical about it, but that's not even very technical. So I'm going to need to hire someone to come in and code for me and I have 2 options, right? I can either try to micromanage them and it be a miserable experience for me and for them, or I can just let them do their thing and then look at their final project, give them the feedback that's needed, let them make their revisions and, have some more trust in people. So I'm trying to make sure that as I'm entering into scaling my business again in a different facet, that I am giving people the benefit of the doubt, believing the best in them, that they are going to treat my clients just like they would hopefully treat their own, and give them the space to get their work done. And so that means me letting go
Mm,
my preferences, you know, because
yeah.
I do like things to be done a certain way, but you can still have standards and let people have flexibility and freedom. You know, I'm learning that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you asking that or are you saying that definitively?
Yes, I am saying it. I'm teaching myself. I'm speaking to myself right now.
You're listening back to your own words there.
I'll just keep playing this part of the podcast over and over again.
so, so the main concern here is if you fully let go that it isn't done to a particular standard that you have in your head.
Right.
Is that the main concern?
Yeah, or just like as efficiently, right? Because I know if I knew how to code, I would be the most efficient coder
Right.
ever, right?
If you knew how to
But
code, you knew this will take just 60 minutes. So why are you taking 90?
exactly, right? Like this you should have had this done like 3 hours ago. I don't understand. I just don't understand. But no, efficiency is the big one. And so just giving better, I think for me, just giving very clear upfront deadlines of like, this is when I need things by, and making sure that my timeline is very clear with the people that I employ or work with. Because it's
Mm,
easy to do things by yourself. It's really easy to do things by yourself, but then you miss out on the collaboration piece that I do love and enjoy. So it's a mix and a balance of trying to marry it all and still make sure you turn out the highest quality of work.
for sure. That's the biggest transition. Like when I work with like new managers, they're still stuck in what I call player mode. Like
Mhm.
it's just so easy for me to do it myself than to spend the time training someone else to do it and still not do it the way I want it to be done. And
Yeah.
then also have to learn how to have those difficult feedback conversations because you
Yeah.
don't know how it's going to
Yes.
land. So for you, like feedback, do you give it? How do you give it?
I was scarred by feedback when I worked at my church job. There was a lot of feedback there. And I do believe it made me better. Like I look back and I'm like, "Ooh, it hurt in the moment." But I'm so thankful for it because it ultimately like cemented some of these things that I look like these cornerstones of what I look for in like businesses and brands and like branding, like all of these things I could go on and on about. I had to learn it the hard way. But I didn't enjoy receiving the feedback. And so now, when I give feedback, I do believe it is softer because I don't want to receive feedback harshly. However, I have worked with some people who have mistaken my soft delivery as like a flexibility, and that's just not going to fly if you're going to work with me either. You have to take what I say seriously. So I have found that I have to adapt for the person's personality type, the worker's personality type. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, does that answer the question for
Yeah,
you?
yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. So, feedback is important. You give it, but you adapt it to the individual.
Right, exactly. And you have to make sure that you are tailoring what you're saying to everyone. And because some people are going to hear it, you know, they're
Yeah.
straight shooter, they can hear it no problem. But other people might be more sensitive, and so you need to adapt it. But also, I've learned that you have to give feedback based on how people learn best too, because you could be communicating something and telling them, just voice to voice, and they're just not getting it. But as soon as you draw them a picture, they're like, oh my goodness, it makes so much sense. So I also believe like leading well means knowing your people, knowing how they learn best so that you can really tailor the information to them.
Yeah. Yeah. In the same kind of vein there, Taylor, how do you know when to step in and not interfere, but step in and comment on their work or do give feedback versus just kind of step back and and let things go?
I look for patterns and trends. So if I'm seeing a VA or a graphic designer, maybe that's on the team, consistently deliver things that are subpar, um, or maybe they're just like off brand, that's when I'm going to step in and say, "Hey, the last 5 graphics that you've delivered, they're just not flying." Now I am going to give subtle like tips and feedback as they submit each thing. But if there's like an overarching problem, like they are just way off base, that's when I would then pull them in to have like a feedback conversation so that we can go over some of these details and these glaring errors. And we can actually have like a real conversation about it. But day-to-day work, I'm gonna shoot you back a few tips of like, hey, make sure that the words are aligned, make sure the font is this, those sorts of things, and see if they can actually take these little nuggets and implement them. But if they're not, then I believe a bigger conversation needs to be held of, do you understand like what we're trying to build here? Do you understand why the branding is important? And that's just one example of how I would go about it. But I do find creative roles, there's a lot of feedback conversations to be had.
It can
And
be quite subjective too, right? Like, is it
sure,
necessarily like a right and a wrong and a black and a white when it's creative?
that's fair, right? And I think that's why, if we strip it back down to the studs, having a brand guide for your company is just so important because it gives what your designers are supposed to work off of. And then, of course, we want a designer to have creativity, but they ultimately need to know what's expected of them. And that's what that brand guide is going to really lay the foundation for.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good, Taylor. Um, Kind of stepping back now, like bigger, bigger question or bigger topic here. Like you said, work isn't your ultimate driver. Faith and family are, which is great. So how do you balance that with building a growing business?
Yeah, I have 3 kids now as of October. So, 2 boys and a girl, and they're very fun. They're a very high energy though. They're go, from 6 a.m. to, I don't know, 10, 11. They go to bed at like, 7-ish. But for me, time blocking is key to getting things done. And without time blocks, I don't get anything done because distractions, snack breaks, baseball practice, like there's just so much going on. And so I have time blocks that I live by, whether that be I actually time block in time to play with my kids, because if I don't time block it, my phone will probably take the best of me. It'll take me down a rabbit hole of emails. And then suddenly I'm working at 9 a.m. when I'm supposed to be playing house.
Yeah.
So I time block everything, and that really helps me a lot. And yeah, my faith, just following what the Lord has like told me to do. And in this season of my life, I know I'm supposed to be a mom, and I don't do anything half-heartedly. So I want to be a really good mom. And
Uh,
so for me, that means like setting aside work when they need something, even though it'd be easier just to, maybe just turn a TV show on, but really listening to what the kids need. That way I can love them
mm,
well.
yeah, that's great. And I just thought then, like, as you're talking about that and time blocking and balancing that with growing your business, it made me think, can I ask why you've chosen to start a business in the first place and why you want to grow it, assuming that you want to grow it? Like, what's the motivation for you behind that?
I love being creative, and I really love working too. I think it's so healthy for I'm not I actually I know I am my healthiest self when I have a creative outlet. And so being able to have these higher level conversations where my brain's still being engaged and challenged and I have something to work on, I am actually able to be my best mom self when it's time to be a mom. And so I need both. Some people are really focused and they can, just have one, but I know I need both. And that's just something that I've learned over the past 5 years of parenthood, because I've tried to do just like the stay-at-home mom thing. And trust me, that is a whole different, like, that is, I actually think working is easier than being a full-time parent. But I just enjoy having these higher level conversations. And I apologize if you can hear my kids in the background because
No, it's
they are
beautiful.
so
Like
loud.
I can hear it, but that's,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
it's part of the, you don't know, I was going to say, it's part of the reality of
It
it.
is. It's my reality.
Yeah, that's great. And and has being a mom helped like shape your own leadership, or
I
how has
think
it?
so. Yeah, because leadership at home is very important. Like being the main adult figure, right? Monday through Friday when my husband's at work, like the kids look to me. And I think it also has softened me too, because I have to communicate with them and give feedback, honestly, in a way that they will hear it and listen and like actually do what I say. So that has been helpful to contextualize, my delivery, what I'm saying, and really think through what do I want to communicate and convey to them.
That's funny. So if you test it out on your kids, if it works on your kids, it works on your clients.
Well, I think so, right? If you can get a 2.5-year-old to do something, I think that's like the best recipe right there.
So your clients have a naughty step.
Exactly. We call it a timeout stool in our house, but yes.
That's funny. I'll take that. I'll see if it works on my clients.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know, Andy.
Taylor, this has been really great. As we kind of wrap up here, uh, a final question here. When you hear the phrase instant leadership, what does that mean to you in real life, in practical terms?
Instant leadership. First off, I love the brand Instant Leader. I think it's a genius, right? Because when I think of it, means boom, I'm stepping into something and it calls you up. It calls you into something more than yourself. And I think that's what, at the end of the day, being an instant leader is, right? You're stepping into something that you know is going to impact so many beyond you. And at the end of the day, I think that's what we want to do, right? We want to impact not just where we're at now, but we want to impact the future, what is to come, what we're building towards. And that's a really exciting idea.
That's great. What do people get wrong about like stepping into leadership, like about confidence? What do they get wrong about that when they step into leadership?
I think a lot of people believe as soon as they're given the title or they're given the pay raise that the skills follow. And that's just not the case. You have to actually learn how to be a leader. You actually have to research. You need to read a book. You might need to go to a seminar. You might need a one-on-one training with your manager. You don't just stumble into being a good leader. You become one by being taught and by actively playing the game. And so for the people who are just sitting out there going like, yeah, I'll just be a leader. Well, it takes being proactive, and it takes actually making a decision to learn. And as soon as you put pen to paper and decide I'm going to start learning and implementing what I'm learning, you're going to find that your leadership then
Yeah,
impacts so many more people.
yeah, that's good. That's great, Taylor. Taylor, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. I mentioned we have worked together on a couple of projects before, but we've never had this kind of a conversation. So
No, this has been fun.
it's been really good. Really appreciate you sharing, opening up to your past experiences and where you are right now is super exciting. Wishing you all the best as your 3 kids grow older, and your business continues to grow as well.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks for having me today. This has been wonderful. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Instant Leader. If this episode helped, please follow the show and leave a quick review. It really helps others find us. For practical resources and to join the community, head to theinstantleader.com. I'm Andy Lee. See you next time.